Badass is only one word to describe this show. Sons of Anarchy was created by Kurt Sutter and ran on the FX network for 7 seasons. It is centered on a motorcycle club called the Sons of Anarchy. Now, this isn't just a group of hardcore Harley enthusiasts. These guys are actually criminals. Outlaws, they prefer to call themselves. Taking place in the fictional Northern California town of Charming, it focuses on the Sons of Anarchy's founding charter, the Redwood Original Charter, also known by their nickname, based on their acronym, S.A.M.C.R.O, which stands for Sons of Anarchy Motorcycle Club Redwood Original. So everyone just calls them S.A.M.C.R.O. The main character of this show is Jax Teller, who at the beginning of the series is the vice president of the MC. That's what they call themselves. Don't call them a gang. They may call themselves a club, but the MC is sort of their formal title. In the beginning of the series, Jax has his first son, his firstborn child. And as he has his firstborn child, he thinks back on his father, who was one of the founding members of the club. He goes through some of his dad's stuff in the beginning of the series, and finds out that his dad was a bit disillusioned with the way the club's direction was going. And throughout the course of the series, as he adjusts to being a father, as well as an active criminal, he begins to have doubts about himself and the club, and wondering what he should do to best honor his father and best honor the club as it was originally intended. A big influence on his life is Gemma, his mother, played by Katey Sagal, Kurt Sutter's real-life wife. Even though the MC doesn't allow women into their club, it's just an accepted fact on this show, she is probably the most supportive of the club. She does her part as an old lady, that's what they call them on this show, very well, to the point where it goes above and beyond the call of duty, which sometimes can make her a very scary character, as she is very hardcore dedicated to the club. Ron Perlman plays Jax's stepfather, Clay, who starts out as the president of the club. He is very much content with the current direction of the club, with the current status quo of things, and has his own kind of groove. Jax confides to his best friend, Opie, played by Ryan Hurst. They've been close friends since childhood, and they are always there for one another. Opie got into the club because of his father, Piney, who is one of the first 9, the founding members, the first 9 members of the Sons. And then, of course, we have the love interest of Jax Teller, Tara, played by Maggie Siff, who is actually a doctor at the local hospital. She is the closest connection Jax has to a normal life outside of the MC, to the point where being with her can create a conflict of interests for both of them. And then we have the other members of the club. We have Bobby, played by Mark Boone Jr., Tig, played by Kim Codes, who is sometimes a little too much with the sexual innuendos that he has. You could almost dub him a pervert. Their fellow Irish member, Chibs, played by Tommy Flanagan, and Juice, played by Theo Rossi. Special mention goes to Dayton Kelly's character, Wayne Unser. He starts out as the chief of police in Charming. However, he is also an ally of the club. He is always there to look the other way. He's the one that accepts the club's existence and thinks it has a place in Charming to keep things under control in Charming. This series is very hardcore with its drama and its violence. If this series was on HBO, the only things that'd be different is they'd probably say the F word more often, instead of saying the SH word every 5 seconds. And plus, there'd probably be more boobs, like bare boobs. Anyway, very material stuff. This show makes up for its basic cable placement. When you're first watching the show, you might feel the show's a bit slow, very procedural. The first season of the series is more a story of the week kind of thing. There's some continuing storylines and occasionally some big stuff that happens, especially towards the end of the first season. But it's more procedural, and it's more like they're still figuring out the writers, that is, still figuring out how to get the show into a groove. They quickly figured that out in the second season, in which the show is straight on serialization, dealing with other gangs and organizations in the criminal underworld close to charming. Season 1 isn't bad. Rather, it could be looked at retrospectively as the season that introduces the world of the Sons of Anarchy. It introduces everybody, it introduces the elements of being in the MC, it introduces all of that, and then after you're done with Season 1, you move on to Season 2, and you can just cruise all the way to the end. Something interesting to point out about this show, especially if you're into Shakespeare, is that the structure of the entire series, the superstructure, as Kurt Sutter called it, is loosely based on Hamlet, Prince of Denmark, which is said to be one of William Shakespeare's greatest plays, as it focuses on elements on betrayal, and, well, I'm not going to talk about Hamlet too much because that might actually spoil the show. It doesn't follow the play note for note, it merely gives off a loose interpretation, and things sort of end up going the way the play goes, but not exactly, and there are characters that you can make comparisons to the characters in Hamlet. I found that interesting. You wouldn't think a show about hardcore bikers would be based on something so old and British. You'll also see in the members of the club a real strong sense of brotherhood in ways that even TV shows about brothers don't have. They truly love each other like they are family. They're not even afraid to kiss each other on the cheeks at times, only if in great emotional dramatic moments, of course. They don't do it all the time. There is a strong bond amongst these people. Something else that's enjoyable is the original music that plays, or if it's not original music, it would be original covers of other notable songs that were made just for the show. And these play out in extended montage sequences that would either play at the beginning of the show or towards the end of an episode, which fits with the style of the show that Kurt Sutter decided to have. The series finale on this show is also great. I mean, this is a complete series review, and with complete series reviews, there's always a worry of whether or not the series is going to stick the landing in the very end. Because if it doesn't, it kind of sours your opinion of the rest of the show. Thank goodness it does. It ties up the loose ends very well, and the ending, I'm not saying much, but the ending is ultimately pretty badass in its own way. What do I think of the show? It's great. I had so much fun watching it. I wish I watched it when it was on, but I got to catch the whole thing up on Netflix. All 7 seasons, all 92 episodes. It's a great crime show. Great characters, great chemistry amongst the characters, a really interesting world that they live in. I mean, any show that's about a criminal organization with criminal undergrounds has to be interesting. If it's not interesting, then the show just flat out sucks. This one does have a great criminal underworld that's worth exploring. And part of me kind of wonders if there is a spin-off in the work. Well, actually, there is, in that Kurt Sutter is planning on making a Sons of Anarchy prequel about the founding members set in the 1960s, but he's not working on that anytime soon, as he's currently working on his next series, The Bastard Executioner, coming soon to FX. If you're into shows with gang violence, with strong characters, with strong bonds amongst characters, with even some old literary references, and some great motorcycle car chase sequences, this show is definitely for you. Go check it out. I certainly enjoyed the show. I had so much fun. Coming down to the last season is one wonderful finish. It's like each season just stacks up the intensity, and the 7th season just doesn't let up. It thunders all the way to the finish. So that's my review of Sons of Anarchy, the complete series. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.